Victoria Hislop is an English author born in June 1959 in Bromley, Kent. She studied English at St Hilda's College in Oxford, and in April 1989 she married with Ian Hislop, director of the publishing house Private Eye, with whom she had 2 children. She worked in publishing, public relations, and as a journalist before becoming a writer. Her first novel, The Island, published in 2005, had the #1 slot in the Sunday Times paperback chart for 8 consecutive weeks and has sold over 2 million copies worldwide. The outstanding success of the book made Hollywood producers to express their desire to claim copyright from the writer, but she refused their proposal. Subsequently, the rights were given to the Greek channel Mega in order to create a series of the same title. It was published in 23 other countries beyond Greece and England and is included in the list of the most successful internationally renowned novels. In addition, it was ranked among the 100 books that characterized the decade. The Island is a historical novel set on Spinalonga, a small fortified island off the coast of Crete, and on the village of Plaka, which lies within swimming distance across it. It tells the story of Alexis Fielding, a 25-year-old on the cusp of a life-changing decision. Alexis knows little or nothing about her family's past and has always resented her mother for refusing to discuss it. She knows only that her mother, Sofia, grew up in Plaka, a small Cretan village, before moving to London. For this reason, Alexis decides to go to Greece. Making her first visit to Crete to see the village where her mother was born, Alexis discovers that the village of Plaka faces the small, now deserted island of Spinalonga, which she is shocked and surprised to learn was Greece's leper colony for much of the 20th century. It is here that Alexis meets an old friend of her mother's, Fotini, who is prepared to tell her for the first time the whole tragic story of her family. What Fotini tells her is shocking and tragic. It is the story which Sofia has spent her life concealing. The story of Eleni Petrakis, her grandmother, and a family torn apart by tragedy, war, and passion. Eleni has 2 children, called Maria and Anna, with her husband Georgis. She discovers how intimately she is connected with the island and with the horror and pity of the leper colony which was once there, and learns too that the secrets of the past have the power to change the future. As for the adaptation, I can say that both the novel and the TV series are masterpieces with exhaustive descriptions of landscapes, traditions, events on one hand, and special effects on the other that better depict the spirit of the time. The patches that this disease leaves to human body are even more shocking and are showed to the audience for realism purposes. And despite the fact that there are many differences between the book and the TV adaptation, thanks to these, the series has acquired more drama and suspense. Dimitris Lemonias, for example, one of the main characters, is accused of infecting with leprosy his sweet teacher Eleni. In the book, it is then revealed that the disease is not necessarily contagious, but is almost exclusively hereditary. On the contrary, in the series, it is discovered that he was shut in Spinalonga due to an erroneous diagnosis. He wasn't affected by leprosy, Hansen's disease, but had psoriasis, and despite this, he decided to stay there although he was a free man. This is the part where the adaptation differs most from the book, but it has had a great success and has further upset the audience. Another, not so significant difference would be the end. The story sees mother and daughter Alexis and Sofia eating at the same table with her mother's friend and her family remembering the past before returning to London. The series instead ends with the 2 of them meeting for the first time after their quarrel on the island of Spinalonga, where they sort everything out and finally make up. Moreover, in the TV adaptation, additional characters and stories were added in order to fill the time of an entire season. In fact, 26 episodes were broadcasted from 11 October 2010 to 23 May 2011. A last observation, but not least, is the fact that Anna is the older daughter of Petrakis' family and not the opposite. In the book, the older daughter is Maria. It's something that confuses me, and I don't understand the reason for this choice to be part of the adaptation to the small screen. I did not choose this novel just because of my Greek origins and the cultural heritage that even today is still alive and to which I will always be too attached. This choice is also related to the themes that this novel deals with, that is, these fundamental values that have been and will always be what a person should have in life to be happy. Family that is essential, and love, the lasting one that resists anything. Unfortunately, in addition to these two themes, the sense of prejudice is very strong on both sides. Obviously, due to time period where people were more Puritans, pious, and with a false moralism attitude. But overall, due to Hansen's disease, which marked people not only physically but also psychologically, making them subject to prejudice and considering them as a danger to the world, for which they were sent to Spinalonga. And this is precisely the core of my speech, because we can say that there is a similarity between the leprosy patients exiled at Spinalonga and the refugees who are fleeing from war-torn countries and finding themselves on the Greek islands. But this was only a first-level analysis. To a more profound consideration, in fact, I realized that the two realities are not similar. On the contrary, they are very different, if not completely the opposite. The leprosy patients were exiled to Spinalonga, many taken by force, to spend the rest of their days without hope and without treatment until successful therapy was found in order to release them from this kind of hell. Many of them lived there for years, the majority never left. Spinalonga was considered the end of their travels. Many of the refugees, instead, who are being helped ashore in the Aegean Islands are also desperate, but in a very different way. Although they have also lost everything, even their loved ones, they are there because they still hold on to the hope of finding a better life. Because for them there is a possibility of a new beginning, as opposed to the leprosy patients for whom the island would have been perceived as an end. The refugees in Greece are being helped by the residents in amazing and heroic ways, and even if at some stages of their journey they may also suffer from the stigma of being refugees, for them we can hope for a better future. Their time on the Greek islands will not be for long if they can make their way to countries where they can start a new life.